Celtics. Dominique Foxworth in the building. How we feeling?
I'm great. Happy to be
good?
here.
Good.
Yeah.
I like that blazer, sport
appreciate
coat,
it.
whatever we're
Okay.
supposed to call it.
Call it cool.
Is AD already, Max, the best teammate LeBron's ever had the opportunity to play with?
Yes, of course, because he's in his prime. You know, Dwayne Wade.
What?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. AD's in his prime.
What?
Dwayne Wade. Yeah, that's right. That's right. You got. You having a hard
I hear
I
a little
swear, if I
John.
was in front of you, if I was in front of your face, I might throw this water on you. Oh,
do no such thing.
Go ahead.
Now.
Go ahead.
Let
Go
me-
ahead. Wicked witch, you
put that
shrink,
down.
you
Okay.
shrink.
Look, Dwayne Wade was perceived as a top, maybe 3 player in the world when LeBron signed to Miami. That's why we thought. That's why they're saying not 2, not 3, not 4, because it was like you want to say top 4 player along with Tim Duncan, LeBron James himself, and Kobe Bryant, who actually, it turns out, was on the downside by then, a little more than we knew. You want to say Dirk Nowitzki, as it turned out by the end of the year. But he was a top 3 to 5 player, definitely on paper. That's what we thought. And he was still quite good, but it was pretty clear by the end of the year, Dwayne Wade was not quite that MVP caliber player that he had been. Maybe part of that was because LeBron and Dwayne Wade were trying to figure out how to play together. But it didn't turn out like if Dwayne Wade was a top 3 to 5 player MVP, finals MVP Dwayne Wade, they would have won not 2, not 3, not 4. It didn't work out that way. That's why. And by the way, Bosh was an all-star, wasn't considered on that level. It's when you put 2 of the top 3 or 4. Like when people are forgetting now, when LeBron signed in Miami, it was like, that's like Magic going to play with Bird. It's too much. But that's not what turned out to be the case. In this case, Anthony Davis is in the middle of his prime. Every year you look at all the numbers across the board, including the efficiency numbers. Even look at his place in history. We're looking at AD like, if he wins championships, are we going to wind up calling him and not Tim Duncan the greatest power forward ever one day? Already he compares favorably, at least in the regular season, to guys like Kevin Garnett and Dirk Nowitzki and Karl Malone and Charles Barkley. Like, we're really just looking for championships to cement his status. So it's not about Dwayne Wade at his best. It's about the fact that AD looks to be in his prime, and Dwayne Wade, by the time LeBron played with him, was something less than that.
You know, it's a damn shame you're even allowed to talk basketball sometimes. I swear to God, I don't even understand it. I mean, Dwayne Wade averaged 25.5 his first year. Dwayne Wade recruited LeBron James. LeBron James didn't know how to win until he got to Dwayne Wade. It was Dwayne Wade that helped elevate him to a point where he became the superstar that he is. I'm not talking about just your game athletically. There's something inside here, and there's something inside here that comes with it. And then the year after, when they lost to the Dallas Mavericks, it was Dwayne Wade that had to go to LeBron James and said, we have no chance whatsoever on being the team that we need to be unless you are the best player. You have to take control of this. We need you to step up and accept the mantle of being the greatest player in the world that you are. It's not just about your skill ability. It's about your mental and your mental acumen. It's about the heart inside of your chest. It's about peeling some of that out. Anthony Davis can't do that for LeBron James because Anthony Davis now has to get LeBron James to help him learn how to be that dude. I don't think it's just about skill. It's about the other intangibles that come along with it. And Dwayne Wade, who was an all-star or superstar at that particular moment in time with what he brought to the table, there is no question to me that Dwayne Wade at this juncture, maybe 3 years from now, whatever, we'll be singing a different tune. But at this juncture, Dwayne Wade is clearly the greatest teammate that LeBron James has ever had.
I think you're absolutely right. If the question is who's most talented, I think we all agree that it's AD. But Dwayne Wade was a Finals MVP and won a championship before LeBron. And I think being a teammate is more than just the points that you score, the defense that you play, because we all agree that Dwayne Wade fell off a bit as while LeBron was there. He was not the same defensive player. He wasn't the same offensive player. But, yeah, towards the end of their run there, and that's part of the reason maybe why LeBron left. And we know that he was not the same offensive force or defensive force, but helping LeBron mature to the champion that he became and the leader that he became was in part because of Dwayne Wade. And being that friend that he needed in that situation was in part because of Dwayne Wade. So it's hard to measure those things. I think when you go to stats on the floor and the unique player that Anthony Davis is, there's no question. I think that everyone would rather have a healthy, productive Anthony Davis in his prime as far as on the court skill over Dwayne Wade. But that's not what we're talking about.
Well,
we're talking
then there's
about
a way to
being
measure
teammate.
it. then there's a way to measure this, guys. By the way, I hate doing this, and we all find ourselves on this program like arguing against the guy we love, because all props to Dwayne Wade, who had the greatest final since MJ when he won Finals MVP against the Mavs that first go-around. He's one of the baddest to ever step on the court. That said, there's a way to measure all this stuff, which Bill James, by the way, calls the BS pile, right? Like, anything you do, any point we want to make, we start talking intangibles. They were together for 4 years. There was no other super team in the world back then where you could point to 3 guys of that caliber like there later was, right? Like in Golden State. There was no team quite like that. As great as the Spurs were, as beautifully as they played basketball, show me a team that had 2 MVP-level players and a third perennial all-star, future Hall of Famer, unselfish, willing to make sacrifices, guy like Bosh, and shooters that were willing to play for league minimum on a Pat Riley franchise. They went to 4 straight finals. Guys, they were supposed to do that. They lost twice. They were 2-2. If anything, if we had to be honest about what they accomplished, did it hit the mark, exceed, or maybe not quite hit it? We would say overall, as kind of ridiculous as it sounds, it was probably not quite as successful as we thought it would be when they first signed. And the only reason for that, in my view, is Dwayne Wade was past his prime. Because we thought the Dwayne Wade that was going to be playing with LeBron was the MVP level guy that we saw, and he was not quite that because he was getting older.
No, he was hurt. He was hurt. If he never got hurt, then your point is valid. Sure. No, he got hurt. I don't give a damn if you're 23 years old. If you ultimately get hurt and physically you're severely compromised, that's what the situation is. And that's what happened in Miami. You bring up Mike Miller. Mike Miller dropped 7 threes in a Game 5 closeout game, if I remember correctly. The next year, he could barely stand up, for crying out loud, because his back was out. You can appreciate that, Max Kellerman. Sometimes the back goes, okay? So we see it's a situation where you got the injuries ultimately is what derailed them, which is why I say they did not underachieve. Because if they were healthy those 4 years, your argument would be far more profound. That was not the case.
Well, if he was healthy those 4 years, I wouldn't have an argument.
But you're also arguing against yourself. If you're saying the way that we measure that is by how many championships they won, how many championships has AD won without LeBron, and how many championships has he won so far? So you can't put him in front of him if he hasn't proven himself yet. You can't be a better teammate if the way that you want to measure is by championships, and he's won none, and no one even thinks that they're the favorite right now.
Dominic, clearly, I'm not talking about the track record of him as teammates. No, that's the question. We're talking about a 4-game sample. Yeah, no kidding.
We can talk about
he has not proven it yet.
We can talk about their careers. We can talk about their careers prior to LeBron joining them, and no one would argue that Wade didn't have a better career up until that point.
AD was not on a championship caliber team in New Orleans. Let's be realistic about this.
You're the one that brought up, you're bringing up 4 games now, Max. You're the one that used the 4-game sample to say there was a better teammate than Dwayne Wade.
AD and LeBron, who's on the downside, in a league where many teams have 2 superstars on them, unlike the league back then, it is not an apples-to-apples comparison. AD, based on his play in recent years, is in the middle of his prime, which should continue for the foreseeable future. Dwayne Wade was not the brand name Dwayne Wade that we thought LeBron was signing up with. He was still an all-star, but he wasn't an MVP caliber player anymore. So if you want to bring in teammates showing LeBron how to win, fine. I'm talking about how good they are at the moment LeBron signed.
You're taking the last word. That don't mean you make the most sense, bro. You're the one that brought up the 4-game sample.
66% of the fans agree with Max.
To sit up there and supersede him over.
Do you think this is a recipe for success for this Lakers team?
Nope, not at all. First of all, let me say this. I'm not that overly impressed with Anthony Davis based on what I've seen thus far. I consider him one of the top 5 players on the planet. If you look at his history, this is over the last 4 years, the last 3 years alone. He has shot in 50%, 53%, and 51% from the field. Last 2 years, 34 and 33% from three-point range. This year, he's only shooting 43% from the field. He's only shooting 27% from three-point range. I don't give a damn what y'all saw last night. You will see better. Anthony Davis can actually look a hell of a lot better. I completely agree with LeBron James in terms of, excuse me, he hasn't even scratched the surface yet. This is not Anthony Davis looks much better than what you have seen. And last night's game against the Memphis Grizzlies, please say it, spare me to cry me a river. All right, here's the deal. The Lakers' success has to come through LeBron James. LeBron James has to be who we know he is in order for the Lakers to be successful. Without that, The Los Angeles Lakers ain't nothing but a Hollywood version of the New Orleans Pelicans we've been watching for the last several years. That is it. It's not about what Anthony Davis does. It's about what LeBron James does with Anthony Davis. LeBron James, and I'm not knocking LeBron James by any stretch. I'm just simply pointing out what's needed from him. It can't be spectator. Wow, let me sit back and marvel at the greatness of this big fella. This brother can really play. This brother got it going on. Let me feed him the ball. No. It's about LeBron continuing to be what we've known him to be. Anthony Davis elevating his level of play based off of what we've seen thus far this season. And Kyle Kuzma coming back and acclimating. And even then, you still need a piece. I'm sorry, this ain't the recipe. This is the New Orleans Pelicans moving to Hollywood via Anthony Davis. That's what this is. This is not going to be the recipe of success for the Lakers.
If you added LeBron James to the Pelicans, they might have won a championship. What are you talking about? Look, Anthony Davis,
That's what I'm saying.
first of all, the
That's
offense.
what I'm saying, Max.
Right. So if you say it's just the New Orleans Pelicans moving to L.A., if you add LeBron to that, you can win a championship with that.
No, I'm saying, Max, just watching Anthony Davis, feeding him and doing that. I'm saying, no, it has to be LeBron with that.
I understand. Look, is LeBron just going to be passive all season? No. But can you run your offense through LeBron feeding AD? Of course you can. Listen, what do I always say about LeBron? Mike and Magic had a baby. It was LeBron James. As he ages, it would behoove LeBron to be more and more Magic Johnson because that style relies less on athletic ability, which diminishes over time. So you can be more of a facilitator and less of a take-it-to-the-rack guy, especially since AD doesn't shoot the ball exceptionally well. You know, when you look at the team, which I like Avery Bradley when it matters because he can shoot and defend when he's right. Danny Green, and when Kuzma gets back, you may have just enough shooting to get where you can play 5 out sometimes and LeBron can do his thing. But AD is not really a stretch 4 or 5. He can play that role, but that's not where he's best. Yes, you can make AD the focal point. I'll bring it back to Magic again in terms of what LeBron does as probably the best passer in the game. Magic, when he came into the league, Stephen A., was the rookie of the year and all these things. Kareem won the MVP. And I'm not saying AD is as great as Kareem, but he's certainly an MVP-level player. But the difference here is it ain't a young Magic and an old Kareem. It's an old Magic and a much younger Kareem in terms of the roles they play. Why wouldn't an older Magic feed a much younger Kareem? Even in this NBA, Stephen A., as LeBron pointed out, if AD is hitting his free throws, go ahead, deal with that. He doesn't shoot it great outside the paint, but he shoots it well enough. And maybe LeBron's thought is, I'm going to keep feeding him because he needs touch. You know, he needs to shoot that outside the paint more to get that overall team offense going. And by the way, all this is to say nothing of half AD's value, which is on the defensive side, where he's among the all-time greats. I think the Lakers could absolutely go all the way even. I would take the Clippers, but you could make AD the most important piece on the team offensively, and the Lakers and LeBron James could ride that. Absolutely. Why not? He's one of the most efficient scorers ever.
I disagree. I disagree with you, but I can understand why you are wrong on this particular situation. It's no offense to you at all. I can understand exactly what you're thinking. You're thinking about the youth and the greatness of Anthony Davis. Ride that wave. What I'm saying to you, you're ignoring the durability factor. And the fact of the matter is, because durability has been a question mark for Anthony Davis throughout his career, combined with the fact that he doesn't just have an elite offensive arsenal, but he's a guy that could do damage for you on the garbage side of things as well. He can sit up there and score on putbacks. He doesn't just have to get the ball in the post. He can sit up there and hit from the perimeter. He can also be an elite second option, not just an elite first option. The point of the matter is, you have to ask yourself this question: how does it benefit the Lakers for LeBron James to take a step back at the expense, or rather for the reasons of feeding Anthony Davis? I'm saying to you, it's more important for Anthony Davis to adjust and acclimate to playing with the greatness of a LeBron than it is for LeBron to acclimate playing with an Anthony Davis in terms of receiving true success in the National Basketball Association for this upcoming season. I'm not questioning the talent of Anthony Davis by any stretch of the imagination. I'm riding with you on that. But I'm saying you have to take into consideration durability, the kind of game that he's going to bring to the table, and whether or not LeBron James is a person that's truly capable of taking a step back and it not being to the detriment of the team he's stewarding. I'm challenging that that's not the case with LA. He still needs to be that alpha dog in order for them to be successful.
But he still is the alpha dog, even if he's feeding somebody else, because he's running the show. Number one, durability. Let's be honest. Dwight Howard's been a revelation so far. I don't know. Talk about durability. Let's see if he can keep it up. But even when I was critical of the Lakers spending money on JaVale McGee, who, by the way, rightfully clapped back at me on Twitter, I'm not saying JaVale McGee can't play. I just don't think he's your starter. But JaVale McGee can give you minutes at the 5. Dwight Howard can clearly still give you minutes at the 5. That should take some stress off of Anthony Davis, even though I believe when he's playing the 5, that's their best lineup. Again, Avery Bradley, to me, Avery Bradley, Danny Green, LeBron, Kuzma when he gets healthy, and AD is how you should finish games. But so that's the durability point. The next point about LeBron, should he change his game? Actually, one of the reasons that there's no end in sight for LeBron, if he doesn't want there to be, is because he can recede where goes from clearly the best player in the game to among the best players in the game, still MVP level. He could recede further than that, and still win championships as merely an all-star caliber player because his game is so well-rounded. Because, yes, he can take it to the rack. Yes, he can hit the big shots from the outside. But, Stephen A., he's maybe the best passer in the NBA, the highest basketball IQ in the NBA.
Like I said, you have your point, I have mine. I'm trying to stick to your point and addressing your points. You're going all around the block. At the end of the day,
I'm addressing
Dwight
what you
Howard,
said.
I'm getting ready to tell you, Dwight Howard, JaVale McGee, it doesn't matter, Max, because you could talk about them insulating Anthony Davis to some degree, but the reality is when he has the ball, and the more he has the ball, the more his durability comes into question. Everybody that goes against him, Montrezl Harrell was a perfect example. Opening night, he knows that from a skill standpoint, he ain't on Anthony Davis's level, as most dudes who are big men in basketball know they are not on Anthony Davis's level. But everybody recognizes Anthony Davis as a finesse player. So what are we going to do? We're going to get physical with him. We're going to bang him. We're going to make him feel our physicality. And 4 games into the season, we're talking about a shoulder injury and how long that's going to linger and how that needs to be monitored by Vogel and his staff. These are the kind of things that you have to monitor. So when you give him the ball, particularly in the post, and you're subjecting him to physicality, you're endangering his availability for when it really, really counts. And you offset that by making sure that LeBron James
we gotta go,
I'll tell you what I'm watching.
What?
I'm seeing 40 and 20 in 3 quarters.
Yeah, you are. You know it's going to be a lot of fun
Memphis.
this
You might be able to
Friday.
score 20 on Memphis, and you can't play.